Hello and welcome back. Wow, what a time we're having. So we're coming up towards October. I'm going to be doing my card reading, my Perceptionary card reading. If you haven't seen them, these are what they look like. Very, very different cards. So I'm just shuffling them here at the moment, just so that, I randomly pick them out and we can see what the month of October is like. I don't know if you've seen my other videos. Perhaps you've kind of found similarities with what I've said. I try to get these videos out right at the very beginnings of each month. So then you can have time to reflect. You can see whether or not I'm right. I often do kind of go, oh, am I right? I knew that there were things coming up in September. And I didn't know about the passing of the Queen or anything like that. By the way, I haven't even told you who I am yet. My name's Emily Baker. I am a medium as well as a psychic artist. I work online as well as face-to-face. So if you do want to have a reading with me, please do have a look at the links below in the description box. And that's a way of contacting me and also getting hold of me through my website. Fantastic. So I'm just giving these a good shuffle. So month of September has been one of changes beyond anyone's belief, really. We here in the UK, we've had a new Prime Minister, female again, so a third female Prime Minister in my living history as well. So, it's quite astonishing considering you think of the hundreds of years of where we've had prime ministers and that we've had parliamentarians and things like that. So in that respect, it's quite a landmark. And just, it's just been one of those years this year, hasn't it? Anyway, so let's have a look. And of course, once again, we have had the passing of the Queen, and now we've got a ruling king as well. So, big changes for our constitution. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to try, because I don't want to look at the cards. So these are the back of the cards. I'll show you in a minute. So I'm just fanning them out at the moment, just so that I can pick one. I'm looking directly at you, so I'm not kind of guided by colours or anything like that, because as you've seen beforehand, the cards are very, very brightly coloured, so I tend to have the back of the card. So let's have a look together to see what card we've got. Right. Oh, talk about faces jumping out at you. Look at that face there. So with these cards, you perhaps can see faces, animals, all sorts of things. Some of you may come back to me and say, actually, Emily, all I see are colourful blobs. And I don't see anything. That's absolutely fine. I have had people who have said that to me. I'm just going to turn it around just to see which way I feel is the best way. Some people can see all sorts of things going on. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it a little. So we can see definitely a face up here. And of course, October. October, of course, is month of autumn and things like that. So actually, I quite like it that way around. I feel comfortable with it being this way around. But again, I'm just going to check to see if I see anything here. So the things I'm looking at are the colours as well, to see about the symbology. But I'm going to, I love that word, symbology. Isn't it a good word? Someone of you may come back to me and tell me that symbology is not a word. But in my book, if perceptionary is a word, symbology is a word too. I think it is a word actually, but there we go. Anyway, I've babbled on long enough. So these cards can be used any which way around. Now I'm using them for a reading. You can use them for storytelling. Perhaps you get 3 or 4 of them out, and if you've got children, you can actually lay them out and say, well, what do you see in this card? Okay, well, what happens in this card? Do the 2 cards tally up? Can you make a story out of these 4 cards of what you can see? So, they are quite diverse in that aspect. Sorry, my words are failing me these days, so I do apologise. Right, I've decided to have it this way around because it feels comfortable. The more I look at it, other things are occurring. Now, I haven't turned the card around because what I have found through doing these videos that when I do them, I get to see, I see what you see, sort of. Again, it's on a matter of perspective. So hopefully you can see what I get to see. When I turn it around, everything changes. So even the colours and things. And I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Okay, so in this card, I see the person facing outwards, looking that way. Okay, looking that way. When I turn the card around, to me, the face is actually looking downwards, and it's a different style of face as well. So, you know, those are the kind of differences. So I will be highlighting that, because the face that I see here on my screen and the face that I see when I turn the card around are very different things. By the way, this is the back of the card. If you ever get to see me at shows or at events and things like that, and I do have the cards out, I will often have them this way round because of the colourfulness of them. The back of them I don't tend to see. People tend to pick up and go, oh, is that what we're meant to look at? And I'm going, no, you're actually, that's the side you're meant to look at. It's a way of attracting people into looking at the cards as well. So sometimes I do flip some over for them to have a little bit of a surprise. What are they going to get? So I'm trying not to get the glare of the light either into the, there we go, there we are. Right, I'm just going to pull this up a little bit closer so you can see. Okay, so there's a, for me, because the face is pointing away, it's not looking that way, it's actually looking away more towards me, if you like. I feel as though it's a reflection. It's a time for looking backwards. Now October, we know it is a month of coming into autumn, so we do have this time of reflection. What are we going to do following? But there is the first thing I saw, and this is why I wanted to stay this way, because I had the card that way around when I pulled it, came up. For me, this actually felt very much like, let me just get that right. Yep, there we go. Sorry. For me, I kind of felt as though that was kind of almost like angelic wings, and I felt that that was a very angelic body being here. So for me, that was quite poignant, and also it's in the colour purple. For me, I'm wearing a lot of purple today. It's about spirituality. Also this green here of where we see almost like a person sitting down. Now green for me is about learning, wisdom, bringing all of your knowledge together. So again, this is a matter of that person sitting down, reflecting. Now you can see it as mountains and molehills, if you like, and you know, the great two big huge mountains there, but for me that's a person's head there, looking down, sitting down, almost exhausted. And again, it's about also, people can see green as being healing. So yes, being exhausted, being tired. I mean, we have gone through so many emotions in the last 4 weeks. We're just absolutely exhausted, and yet more things are coming towards us. And there are still more things to come towards us as well. Here I see with this colour, this pink here, and it is the same colour. Sometimes the camera can distort things. For me, this colour here is very much, and again, it's back over here, it's about this being surrounded by unconditional love. And it is a very powerful thing, but I can also feel it about being comfort, about being that passion, everything's going to be okay. This is almost like your grandparents coming around you and just hugging you and just saying, it's going to be all right, dear, it's going to be okay. It feels almost as though it's that, and that of what we are in need of at the moment, of having that reassurance of coming through. So October has got that sense of reassurance coming through. It's a little bit more stable. And then September, I feel as though I do remember saying in September, things are going to be, you know, we've had July, August was quiet. September is not going to be quiet. I never claimed it was going to be quiet in September, but October for me feels that kind of quietening down, not fully quiet though, quietening down, having that moment of reflection, gathering ourselves in. October is about harvest, September and October are about harvest times. And we also have this moment of the ether getting thinner, if you like, our spirit loved ones coming closer. I've never expressed it in that way, but okay, we'll go for that. But yes, it's very much a reflective time, a time to also gather ourselves together of how we're going to look forward to the future and how we're going to sustain ourselves through the winter. Now, I know we're not the only country. The UK is not the only country worrying about the winter and sitting there and kind of going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with blah, blah, blah and all the rest of it. I want to bring us back to this colour here and just say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Now, that's the feeling that I get. That's not necessarily what's going to happen, okay? I can say that for right now, and this is before October, bear in mind. I'm not in control with the world leaders, okay? So I can't tell you. Not only that, I don't listen to the news, I don't kind of feed into the news, and I don't really look into the news. I'll have a look at the headlines, and then that's as far as I will go. I don't really want to look at articles and things like that. But that's me, because that, for me, is very much needed. It's very much about that healing process. It's very much about gathering our strength, gathering ourselves together. And I'm just going to have a look at the card. So when I turn the card around, for me, I get to see that face at the very top. Although it's looking outward, I get it to see looking downward into that green space. When I'm looking at the green space, I'm also seeing a figure. So I'm just going to, if I pull it there, now you can see what I get to see a little bit clearer. And can we see, although when I pull it back, we have this figure here with looking at those two hills, but actually there's a presence there. There, for me, is that kind of an angelic lady who's coming in to heal. And I don't normally say green is a healing colour. It has to be a lot darker for me for it to be healing, but this comes across as being very much a healing part of the card. And it is very much needed, and it's coming in to the card. It's not moving outwards, it's coming in from the background to the forefront and giving us that moment of healing, of calmness, if you like, as well. People will also say green is about jealousy, envy, angry, and all the rest of it. Yes, it can be, because we have a look at the bile. The bile is about anger. If you have a look at Chinese traditional medicine and things like that. So yes, absolutely. But I would not see that in this card. For me, that is much more of somebody coming in to greet, to say, come into my arms, let me look after you. And we're going to be needing that. We're going to need that part of kind of being able to hold on to ourselves and say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. You can weather this storm. And the storm is also here. So when I just pull the card up, you can see what I mean by the storm is there, because it's full of passion, communication. Communication this year, I don't know how many times it's cropped up in cards. Blue for me is about emotions and communication. So it's a very different stance to what we've had in the past when communication has come up. Let me just move the camera a little bit closer and then you can see. So, we can see here that the communication is there, but it's also got that love behind it, that compassion behind it, as well as the passion behind it. So be aware that people will be talking with passion, but also with compassion as well. And it's going to be much more heart-centered. There are going to be emotions running around as well. So be warned that the emotions, people may overspill in how they put it across, and it may come out as being quite fiery, but it may also be there with a kind of, actually, do you know what? This feels a bit wrong. Let's look at it in this way. So yes, I do feel as though the compassion and the nature and the caring is all coming in. And obviously with it being autumn and storms coming in, which we get in autumn, the rain coming in, this is a lovely card to just cheer up the day because of the colours, let alone anything else. Today is a very, very grey day. Much needed rain has come, which actually in some areas still will not be enough as well. So let's have a look to see if there's anything else. So let's go back to this face up here. So if I just move that there, we can see it's still looking outward, but when I turn it around, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, okay. I can still see that face being turned outward. So again, it's looking to the forward. It's looking outward. It's not looking necessarily inward. This is, the month of October is not belly button exercise, if you like, looking inward, you know, staring at our belly button, seeing, oh my gosh, what have I done wrong, and all the rest of it. It's not about that. It is about holding your head up high. Where do you want to go? What is it that you want to bring in for the next few months? What is it that you're wanting to aim for and go for? What is it that you need to strive towards? When I first saw this card, I saw this area as being kind of quite wing-like, of long wings of an angel. And I still do see that, but I also do see something up here as well. And again, it's almost like a person, if you like. But again, it's in those lovely colours of being in pink and purple. Purple for me is very much about the spirituality, as I've said. So turning the card around, we have here, now this may look brown, but when I turn the card around, it's kind of a muddy, browny, reddy, pinky colour. Try explaining that to your grandchildren. So it's kind of, it's got a hint of red in there, it's got a hint of brown in there, it's got a hint of pink in there, so it's quite an interesting colour. But again, it's very much about, for me, it's about that stability. And brown is very earth-like as well. Now let's, if we move the card down a little bit, have a look down here. Gosh, I can see another person evolving. We can see here what almost looks like a pot. Actually, it does look like a pot, doesn't it? Okay. Somebody mixing the stirring pot. Okay. Can I just say this because I know it's October, and I know perhaps when you get to see this video, it'll be the end of October, Halloween, etc. Also, you know, saints and witches and ghouls. Okay, so we can see this if you wish to. As a witch, we can see this person stirring the pot, okay, or the cauldron, however you'd like to say it. So if you're seeing that image of somebody stirring the pot, be warned, and it'll be done through communication. Okay, they'll be stirring that pot, they'll be stirring something within you, because bear in mind this, I feel as though this is going to be your colour this month, of that learning, using your intuition. Please use your intuition, listening and using your wisdom. Okay, wisdom and intuition for me are very much linked together. So this is someone stirring that pot, seeing what you've learnt, seeing what is still to be added to, what still needs to be learnt as well. So yes, we've all got stages of learning to go through, and we've still all got things that we need to learn as well. So it's not, our lives are never that simple. I wish they were, but they're not. And even those who portrayed themselves of having a very simple life, they're still learning about themselves. And I have come across those who lead very uncomplicated lives, shall we say, but yet they're still learning a lot about themselves. Old lessons come up, and they're revisited. So have a look. That pot may have old lessons in it which get stirred up, emotions getting stirred up. How do we deal with our emotions when they get stirred up? What is it that we do? Do we reach out? Do we go to somebody and say, actually, do you know what, I need some help here? And we may need to do that in the month of October. It's very, this is contradiction, and I apologize right now. I want to say settled but unsettled. There are things that are going to be stirred up. There are things that are going to come up. Communication is going to be one of them. Okay. And I feel as though when the communicating is happening, it's going to be said with fire, with passion, but also there will be that hint of compassion as well. So looking at the card this way, I didn't really get to see much at all. So maybe you get to see. Again, I can see this person, instead of looking outward, it's now looking upward towards up here in the card. But again, this green is for me very kind of like a strong colour. The yellow behind it, now the yellow is about bringing in that bit of light, that joy. And don't we need some laughter? There won't be enough. There still won't be enough laughter, but there will be glimmers of upliftment coming through. But again, they will be short-lived. I feel as though they're not going to be strong enough. This person here, a strong person, feels as though they, this may be who you are. You know, yes, you are this, but you're also that, looking outwards, but actually you're dealing with all of this here as well. Confronting all that is coming towards you as well. But understand, you work with that spirit, you work with the love, you working with compassion, and you breathe that out. If you have a look, it almost looks like they're breathing out those colours of compassion, of love to others around. Now, if we all did that, wouldn't the world be a different place? Really, really, really would be. Easier said than done. I understand. I hear you on that one. Totally easier said than done. Never an easy job at all. This way round, it feels as though I'm almost seeing a boat travelling. Again, here's the boat going along here, leaving the rockscape. And actually, isn't it funny how that face now looks much more female than male, just by turning it around, and other imagery comes to the fore. It's almost as though I can see an animal's head, so that's its nose there. I can see two eyes and an ear. Now, whether or not that's a goat or a cow, I wouldn't have said it was a cow actually. It's more like a goat or sheep. Green sheep. But again, sheep are actually, been saying this all the way through September, here, especially here in the UK, we love cues. We are sheep-like. All you have to do, try it out. All you have to do is just stand at a doorway and you'll soon find that there's a queue. Or near to a doorway and you'll soon find that there's a queue. Now, some people will actually say, are you in a queue? Are you going in? If it's a small shop, not really. And where I live, there are some very small shops. So a queue can form very, very quickly. And you often have to turn around and say, I'm not in the queue. I'm just standing here. Now, I'm quite sure many of you have already done that if you've been in the UK and found that you've got people standing behind you, but actually you're waiting for somebody who's already at the till. Try doing it and see how quick we are to form a queue behind you. We're really quick. So in that respect, yes, we are very sheep-like and we do follow the pack. So again, are you going to be the different sheep, the green sheep, the sheep that actually kind of goes, do you know what? I'm not going to follow the herd. I'm going to go off and do my own thing as well. Is that a good thing to do? Only you can tell. It depends where you are at this moment in your life. And these are very, very, I'm just doing it very generally as well. Okay, so just, have a look out for that. Again, I've just turned the card around. And there seems to be an image here as well. And to me, Do you know what? It almost looks like Prince. You know, in his early days when he had the big lapels coming out of his, and his big shoulder pads from the 1980s and the Purple Rain and all the rest of it. Almost looks like that. But it does look like royalty. And I mean that by saying it's like an Asian continent royalty. So Indian, Taiwan, or somewhere like that. It feels very much along those realms. So it may be a case that actually that comes to the forefront in October. That's a leader from there, or that leaders from there come in to play for us, or it may be about the spirituality because of the colours that they're wearing, and about the compassion leading us to show how we can help each other as well and work. But for me, this feels a very royal person. I mean, I can almost see in the picture when looking at the screen, I can almost see that he's got a moustache, not a beard. It almost feels like an 1800 or a 19th century costume that I'm seeing. And I don't mean a costume as though you would find on stage, but I mean it's a costume of something that you would wear for a painting or something like that. I can see the headdress here. There's the headdress. And there is part of the scarf coming down around here. Big shoulder pads, as I've already gone and said, big shoulder pads, but also very secure in how they stand and very aware of who they are. Now, if we have a look at this card, again, looking at ourselves, we can say, yes, we need to have that reassurance of knowing who we are as well in the month of October. And this may be one of your guides, I don't know, but that coming through as well, giving you that reassurance, that stability, because you are going to find ways of gaining that stability, that sure-footedness that perhaps you don't have at the moment. So turning it back this way, which is where we started, and in fact, actually, that was the way that I chose the card to be as well. So we're just turning it back this way. I'm just going to have a quick scan again here, see if there's anything coming up. No, I do feel as though this is quite a... you tell me what it is that you feel with this colours. In this area, I've already explained to you, for me it's about learning, development and growth, but it's also about having that time of nurturing as well for ourselves. This is a very much a nurturing card, but I do say please look out for communication. And I know that there are some planets in retrograde which is all about communication, so communication can be a bit iffy this month, but again, just listen to what people are saying. And if you're not sure, just say, is this what you're telling me? Or is this what you're saying to me? Have I heard you correctly? And just repeat it back to them of what you have heard, and just see if that's actually their meaning. And they may find that actually you're at cross purposes. So that may be a way of just, instead of taking offense, you just reply and just say, is this what you've said to me? Is this what you're meaning by saying X, Y, and Z? Have I heard you correctly? This is what I think you've gone and said. Is that correct? And it's not to pull them up at all. It's to make sure that your communication's on the same page. To make sure that both of you, or the group of you, are all on the same page. Okay. So that's my reading for the month of October. I hope you've enjoyed that. And please do have a look back at some of the other cards as well that I've got. As you know, like I said earlier on, I am a spiritual medium and a psychic artist. If you are wanting to have a reading with me, I can do the card reading, as well as I can do psychic art, as well as doing just mediumship readings as well. You can see me face to face. I am on the Welsh borders. If you're wanting to come over to the Welsh borders, more than happy. Be happy to have you. But also, you can contact me through my website, which is just emilyjbaker.co.uk. Must also tell you that I do a podcast as well. And the podcast, it comes out every 2 weeks, and we're up to about episode 9 now. It's called The Spirit Guiders. Again, in the description, I will put in details of that. In this, there's a colleague of mine, or a friend of mine rather, Jane Lightfoot. We have discussions about certain topics such as chakras, or about Reiki, or about aura photography. We've actually got a little meditation on there for you to listen to as well. We've got more episodes lined up. We may take a break over Christmas. We probably will do, and come back refreshed. But also, please do have a listen to that. Again, I'll give you some links for that. You can find it on all of your major podcasts. Wherever you find your podcasts, you'll find us on those platforms there. Again, I've put in some links there for Spotify and for Apple Play, I believe it is. I'm not an Apple person, so I wouldn't really know. But I'll put a couple of links in there for you as well for that. So, love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Take care. All the best.